and we got in with a consulting company, and that just really helped ground him into knowing what he needed to do, how to write policy, how to hire the right people.
I had AI help me write that because it would take me a week and a half to write one policy or one SOP or whatever you want to call it. It would take me a week and a half to do it, and then I would have to hand it over to Kelsey and say, "Read this and fix everything."
I think building activities are an important way for shops to actually coalesce their culture. Welcome to another episode of the Garage Grit Podcast, as an origin and impact series, specifically with Brandan and Kelsey Lancaster from Performance Automotive out in Colorado. Guys, thank you for both joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
We're glad to be here. Thank you for inviting us.
You're welcome. I paused there. I said, today, because I was about to say this morning. Maybe the listeners are listening in the morning. Maybe it's the afternoon. Maybe it's depends on what time zone you're in. And we were chatting about the time zones before we actually got started. I like thinking about this, like the people who are on the eastern side of the time zone and what matters to them versus the western side of each time zone. And you were mentioning about your DVI process to me, about how you actually had to put extra lights, because your DVI process starts outside, right? Is that the case?
It is the case, and what ended up happening is we were getting a lot of dark pictures of the exterior vehicles before test drives in our preliminary inspection part, and we ended up having to put up a whole bunch of lights to illuminate, when we're doing these inspections. And one of my friends said, "Hey, I drove by your shop the other day, and they said it looks like a major league ballpark outside at night." And I'm like, "Oh, that's cool."
How much of a slant or a hill is the parking lot on? Is it level-ish?
So we have two parking lots. We have two buildings 60 feet from each other, or 60 steps from each other. So they slope a little bit, and on one side, and the other side has more of a slope, but it's fairly flat, I guess, in most ways.
And then
So
there's a ditch at the edge of the parking lot in both
Okay.
areas.
Yeah.
So
Well, you said stadium lighting, and my mind went right to you gotta put some lime down and line it like a baseball field and have a wiffle ball event with your employees at the end of the workday, and you record
In
that.
one parking lot, we could totally do that. We can move all the cars and just line it out and have a whipple ball competition game out there.
we
It'd be
should do
fun.
that.
It's stadium lighting. I mean, that's where my mind went, right? I mean, why not? Have fun.
Cool.
So, I think building activities are an important way for shops to actually coalesce their culture. I know that's a kind of a fun buzzword, but I think right now, we need to start thinking about how shop owners need to start thinking about how they need to coalesce their culture and adjust the vibe at the shop so that it actually attracts talent. That way you're not constantly battling for new people. And it's my understanding you recently hired some new people. How did you get them?
We used a company that puts ads out on Facebook for the most part, and they spend all the time in the forefront to vet them, so to speak. And then they send me a text message that says, "Hey, you have a phone interview at this time." Um, so I'm like, okay. So we do a phone interview. If they're likely going to be at least interviewable in person, we set that up and make that happen, and then go from there. And when we're doing the interview, we obviously make sure that they're going to be a culture fit for the rest of the people here. We use what kind of I guess tone level they have in so to speak. If they're a Debbie Downer, then nobody's going to want them. So we use that, if they're energetic and they're fun to talk to, and you can look at their eyes in the interview and see what they're going to be like, later on. So they're not just hiding things from you.
Now, are you going off your gut in that scenario, or do you have a framework?
We have some training on that. Yeah, we have training on how to evaluate, where somebody lives on a scale, whether they're, and I can go into really depth, and I don't think you probably want that, but there's a few steps on how to get that out of them and see where they live day to day, hour to hour. Everybody goes down, whether some sort of emotional crisis, or they're working on a car that's kicking them hard, and they go down, but it's where they rebound to every day, or where they start out the day is a good indicator of where they live at most times.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
And Kelsey might have some more to add to that as well.
Please, Kelsey.
So the recruiting company that we've worked with, which we've now worked with them twice, we have criteria set. And so before we even have that initial conversation, that's how they determine the ones that they're going to forward to us. And, anytime you have an employee leave, we just dread having to look for a new employee, because going through, and for lack of Indeed, it's exhausting. And you get people that have been on Indeed for years and they haven't updated anything, but they'll come through as a current candidate. And so just using this company, and there are several companies out there that do this for just automotive, using these recruiting companies has made a big difference in us getting the quality candidates that we want. And then we can then decide, are they the right fit? Are they the right personality, the right behavior for what we're looking for to bring into the culture? We can train. If you get an A-Tech walk through the door, but if he's a complete pain in the butt, nobody wants to work with him. So we're looking for that personality, and then the skills come along with that, and that just makes him an even better candidate.
All right. So let me be, so I've got two questions. First, what's the name of the company that you're currently using? Are you okay with saying it?
Absolutely. Auto Shop Media.
Okay. Nice. I'm familiar. That's great. And I love the Facebook ad approach. We recommend a similar type approach. It really comes down to, are you looking for someone who is 21? Because if you are, then maybe Facebook's not the right platform for you. But if you're looking for someone with a little bit more experience to their belt, then they're going to be a little bit older, and Facebook might be the platform that would be really, really appropriate. So that's great.
Right. And just to further that up, there's one guy that we hired that is not on social media at all, like zero presence on social media. And one of his coworkers saw the ad and said, "Hey, I know things are changing in the shop we're currently working in. You might want to look at here's my phone, look at this." And he helped him apply through there. And actually, I think he just came straight out here when he found out who it was.
Nice.
So, and he's currently working for us still.
That's pretty nice. First I want to say, awesome job finding somebody that's not on social media, because like, I'm in digital marketing. We live in social media, but if I wasn't in this business, I probably would not be on social media. So I gotta get I get it.
It can totally be a time suck. That is absolutely 100% true.
Yeah, and a distraction at in sometimes best case scenarios. So that's interesting, and that's great to hear. All right, so shout out to them for doing that. Have you used other companies? You mentioned that there's a lot of companies that are in the space, and there are, specifically in the world of trying to hire. Have you tried other companies with success?
We haven't tried anybody else. Okay. What we've done is looked at their platforms and how they get paid, and Auto Shop Media seems to be more in our realm of how we like to do things. A lot of companies will, once it's more of a free startup or a small initial, investment, and then they put you towards, okay, so if you hire this person, they get a certain percentage of their salary or hourly wage for a certain amount of time afterwards. And we didn't really like that approach. And Auto Shop Media charges more initially, and then they charge you for all of their ads, all of the advertising stuff. And it seems to be a little bit, and then we can turn it off, pause it. You can do, have a bench warmer deal where they don't push it out quite as hard, which is great. So you can continually be recruiting instead of always just looking for somebody, which is nice.
There was an episode that I had, his name was Kevin. I'm trying to remember the episode number. It was episode 31. I found it really interesting. Daily, even if he's not hiring, every day he's reviewing candidates. And if he finds one that he loves, he actually reaches out to them and says, "I'm not hiring right now, but things change on a dime. I wanted to see whether or not you'd be a fit and still, are you open to a future call? I found that to be really interesting. That was episode 31. For those that want to go back and listen to that, was Kevin Bird. But
we have a list of folks that we've interviewed or have talked to in the past that may not at this moment in time be what we're looking for. But Brandan reaches out to them every couple of months. Hey, how's everything going? He, just wanted to check in and see how they're doing.
A lot of times I'll hit them up on social media and see if they want to become, friends, so to speak. And then just, they see me, I see them, and then you can reach out to them every 2 or 3 months and say, hey, how's it going? As simple as that. I see you guys are doing fun things. That's super cool. And then leave it at that. I don't go any further, but I usually ask permission to do that too. I don't just hit them up out of the blue.
Right.
So
I understand how the Facebook algorithm, most of the social media platforms work, is if you contact somebody or pay attention to somebody's news feed, you are more likely to see more from them. And so if we just became Facebook friends and then you never visited any of my content and vice versa, after, I don't know, 6-7 months, it actually hasn't, I don't know that there's an exact time frame, we would start to see even less of each other's posts on our newsfeed.
Sure.
And so staying in touch with them, Brandan, is a great tactic, because otherwise you just kind of you fall off each other's radar.
Well, and it could be the simple fact that they're like, who's this guy again? I don't even remember talking to him in the first place. Once you hit them up and say, hey, I have an opening. Come on, I have an opening. You got to keep that rapport going. You have to, make sure that, they still understand who you are and what you do, and vice versa.
As well as the type of people that you have working there. And if everyone is the type of person that's going to play wiffle ball in February in Colorado, and that suits them because they saw those wiffle ball pictures on your business profile page, and then you contact them 2 months later, they're like, please, I can play shortstop. Right. I mean, like and then you're making it a quarterly function. I don't know. But even still, just checking that you're not actually hiring based on which position you need, right field versus pitcher versus, but
that's true.
But
they have to fit the business before they fit the wiffle ball, right?
That's right. Got to keep those priorities in order. Okay. All right. That's really, I think you've got a good process there. It sounds like you've got, I like that you're actually analyzing their personality profile. And I do think there's an opportunity for a lot of shops to showcase, to adjust the culture at the shop, and then to showcase that to help with companies, like the one you're talking about, and others, to just attract the right type of talent. And the right type of talent isn't necessarily a skill level. It's as much as it is, or actually it's more, it is the personality fit. Because we all know the handful of level A technicians who nobody wants to be around, and they should go get their own shop and have a one person wondering where people, the one person wonders are people who are, everyone's wondering where he is because he's constantly busy working on cars. No one ever sees him, right? I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to.
Yep. It's answer the phone, fix cars, work on weekends.
It's a difficult spot.
Don't even know who your family is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's been there.
It's not fun. I did it for a minute.
Well, talk about that minute.
So when I just finally decided that I was done working for somebody else because I didn't like how they managed or the chaos in their shops or any of that stuff, I decided that I'm going to do this on my own. But I didn't have enough money saved up to do that. So I actually built my own website, kind of. I don't know if you could actually call it a website now, but I did do that on my own. I got a point of sale right away, which was Mitchell at the time. And the only reason I did that is because they would send me the software in 2 days. It wasn't something I had to, this was before the cloud, software was out there. anyway, so I opened it up at the house. I bought a lift, a few shop equipment tools, and advertised as little or as much as I thought I could, and word of mouth. And I had a lot of friends, people that already knew me that I worked on their cars. I had a lot of friends that were telling people to come to me, and I saved up my money. So I opened up in this building that I'm in right now in August of 2015, and I was here all by myself. A 3,000 square foot shop. I bought a couple more lifts, and just started. I was on the phone, from 7 a.m. till, every time somebody called. And then I would use the evenings when the phone quit ringing to actually do the work. And it was fun. I learned a lot, and it gave me the opportunity to have some money saved up so I could go do something else or buy more equipment.
Okay. All right. So there's a spot where you phased out of that and it was all self-funded or bootstrap funding. But before we go there,
Yep.
Kelsey, tell the story from your side. Did you send postcards to your husband? Because you didn't see him during that year, right? I mean, so tell me from your side. He quit his job kind of like on a dime. It sounds like he just kind of like said, I'm done. Like,
she has a great story about that. By the way.
I'm guessing. And so let's hear it.
Very funny story. So he shows up one day where I work at 10 o'clock in the morning in the lobby of the bank. And I come out of my management meeting and I look at him and I said, "You just quit your job, didn't you?" And he said, "Yes, I did." I said, "Well, what are you going to do?" He said, "I'm going to go fishing." He went fishing. And I need that stability. I was scared to death of what was going to happen. But within a day, he had 5 job offers. And then one of those job offers, who's a good friend of ours, said, "Why don't you just do this at home?" And that's how he made the decision to start the shop. But yes, when he was at our house, he only worked 30 feet from the house. And it was great because I'd come home and dinner'd be ready and the laundry'd be done. And it was heaven. And then he moved here into this building, and this area needed what Brandan was offering. There weren't very many shops. There still aren't very many shops, but somebody who's just willing to take on just about any project and finish it and figure out whatever's going on. It was a huge need in this area. So there were days when he came here at 6 o'clock in the morning and he didn't get home until midnight. And that happened for months and months. And then he just kind of started realizing he needed additional help. He needed more technicians. So he hired a couple of technicians. He was writing all of the service for those techs and still working, back in the shop at the same time. It just kind of grew. Once we got to a point after about a year and a half, he realized he needed to learn how to run a business, how to own a business, not just be a technician who started a shop. And we got in with a consulting company, and that just really helped ground him into knowing what he needed to do, how to write policy, how to hire the right people. It really helped a ton. If a shop owner doesn't have a business coach, they don't know what they're missing. They really need to focus on getting themselves a coach to help them figure out how to run their business so that the business isn't running them.
I like that a lot. And I think that's a spot on the case. If those who've heard this podcast on other episodes, you've probably heard me talk about a handful of stories where, as a digital marketing company, we're upping the number of calls to the shop, but the shop isn't actually running efficiently enough to receive the full return on that investment that they put into marketing. And so I'm a big fan of coaching because I think it actually, it allows that part of the shop to be running well so that when the marketing is dialed up, you get to receive the benefits of those, right? So I like both going on at the same time, but that's all right. So I'm just thinking about this. There was a particular moment where something boiled over at 9:45 a.m. that you just said, "I'm done," and you walked out. Any chances you're still friends with the boss from that prior shop?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so we
So
don't need to.
I probably I'm not gonna I don't think anybody around here is probably gonna watch the video of this podcast. I might.
Yeah, but we don't want to say his shop's name or his name.
I'm not gonna share. Oh, absolutely. absolutely not. I was just going to say his motto was, it doesn't matter if they turn right or they turn left when they leave this place, they're the enemy. So that was his philosophy when it
Like he
came to
actually
ex-employees.
verbalized that, or you're saying
He told a coworker of mine that one day.
I don't understand. I don't
And
understand the thought process behind it. Like,
I don't know if there is any. I think that every other shop owner, instead of embracing the automotive industry and helping each other out to get better, so that all we really have to gauge each other upon is where their location is. All the services are the same, price is very close. You get the same, treatment at every shop. His thing is everybody else's enemy. He's not going to help anybody. He doesn't want to make the industry stronger. He just wants it's a very selfish act on his part. So it doesn't bother me. I'm here to make the industry better. It's been really good to me for over 30 years. I want to make the industry better, and I will help anybody that asks for help.
nice.
And I'll probably offer help to people that don't ask as well, which is a fault
Okay.
of mine.
All right. All right. Well, so was there what was going on at that shop other than his mantra? Like, describe the
So
day-to-day
it
operations.
was one of those deals where you're working with people that you don't like necessarily, and they say things that are either hurtful or inaccurate. I was working with a service manager that didn't really do a whole lot, and then he didn't want to help either.
Hold on.
And I went and I actually told the owner of.
Let me jump in real quick because there's a lot of coaching programs that talk about you got to, first work on you, right, and then work on your operations, and then you can help others, right? And that's a general principle for any industry. But it's interesting what you said about the mantra of the shop owner, that everybody is an enemy, and now you've just described the coworker culture that in many ways he created, in that I'm not helping anybody that only is helping me, right? I'm not helping anybody else. Everyone's on their own everyone else is an enemy. That's what I just heard you talk about the general manager as well, right? So that's really interesting that his mantra was fed into the rest of that shop's culture.
Mm-hmm.
And the manager was probably just following a lead,
Yeah.
and everything was verbalized. There was nothing written. There was no policy books. I think there might have been a really small employee handbook type thing, but I don't even remember that either. I only worked there for 9 months. I left a dealership where I was I tell people this, and people aren't going to believe me, but the last 3 pay periods I was there, I made almost 200 hours in 2 weeks. So I was doing almost 100 hours a week so I was valuable. At this new shop I started working at, I did 74 hours the very first week I was there they just like throw you to the wolves type of mentality. Here, we got these things diagnosed, and we get back to the service advisor. It was all verbal. It was very chaotic. And the service manager he would help, but he wouldn't help either. And I am friends with that guy to this day.
Okay.
Now. He quit and opened his own shop up, and he's successful.
Okay.
And he's not a bad guy.
Well, maybe he'll be a guest on the show as well.
It was just circumstances of where he was working as well.
Okay.
That made him not want to help. But anyway, that day I blew up, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore here. It was a mistake to come here, and I want out. And I've never been a person to just leave a place of employment and say I'm not working here anymore. But I've always give the 2-week notice or whatever it might be, and give a chance to look for somebody else and whatever. But I quit that day. I'm like, I'm done. But I told the owner, I said, I can't work with this guy any longer. So it's him or I. And he said, well, I need the manager. So I guess it's you then.
Wait, I left. Is that the guy is the manager the one that you're still friends with today?
Yes, the manager is. I wouldn't say we're friends, but I could walk into his shop and we'll talk like everything's fine.
Right. But at the time, you had trouble working with him, and it was partially because of the culture that was being created by the owner. It wasn't necessarily 100%. That's really interesting. All right, so
I believe it was 100% culture issue.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I could picture you smile. We just met, but I could picture that you're smiling at the bank as Kelsey described, right? And so like that relief of just being done, but you didn't even know what was next. You didn't quit to start the shop. You said, I'm just done here. You took 5 other job
Nope.
offers, and then one gave you the idea of starting your shop. And what did that conversation look like between the two of you, if you don't mind me going there?
Kelsey and I, between Kelsey and I?
Yeah.
What ended up happening is she came out and said, you quit your job, you're going to go fishing. Yeah, all that. And then she said, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm really going to go fishing and think for a couple days. And I did. And it was in May. The wind was blowing. It wasn't good fishing. I went home. I thought everything over. And then I started getting a few text messages from other people, shop owners. One guy's like, I'll pay you $50 an hour.
How did they find out that you had left?
I have no idea. Never ask him. I never asked him. I didn't really
Probably
know.
the tool guys.
It could have been tool guys. Yeah.
Okay.
It was within a few days I started getting a lot of text messages. One of them happened to be a friend of mine, and he has a little shop in town. It's 4 bays, 5 bays maybe, but it's cramped in there. It's a very small 5-bay shop. And I'm like, okay. So I went and interviewed with him, and that's who said, and I had a transmission background, doing drivetrain work. And he said, why don't you just start building transmissions at home? I know you have all the tools for that, and I'll use you. If I need a transmission rebuilt, I'll use you. And I'm like, okay. And then it really morphed after that, because then people that I knew over the years and word of mouth, they just started calling me. I'm doing business off of my cell phone, in the garage of my house. And my garage isn't even tall enough to have a lift. So I had the lift outside, and I'm like, this is May. It's great in the summertime, obviously, but the wintertime, it's going to really suck.
And by winter, you mean, say, October, because you're in Colorado.
It can be a winter in October. It's going to be cold. It's going to be miserable. It's not going to be fun. Right. So anyway, it morphed into, I got to do something. So every day the first thing I would do in the morning was go through shops for rent or warehouse for rent or all those things. And I think we went and looked at a few, Kels. And then I came out to this one here in Bayfield, and I really liked this, where it was at. I liked the visibility right on the highway, a lot of things. And it was a 3,000 square foot shop. And that was way more than I thought I needed at that point. Now we're up to 8,000 square feet, because we bought the building next to us, which was a feed store that was 5,000 square feet. So now we have 10 bays, 10 bays with racks in them. We could work on more cars than that, but, and a bunch of employees. But I guess what I learned from the shops that I've worked at in the past and the chaos, when I started getting some training, about, writing things down. You can't have an expectation unless everybody knows what that expectation is, right? And I started going through it, and my good friend was, that told me to open my own shop or build transmissions at your house. He helped me, and great guy, still a very good friend to this day. We don't talk every day. We don't talk every week, but when we do talk, we talk quite a bit. But he's very successful as well, and that helped push me into something that was better than I thought I could be, actually, or the shop is better than I thought it could be.
Okay.
But it's been fun, and without some training, and without writing things down, and telling people how it needs to be done, how the performance automotive way is, not technician a way to do things. Well, we have expectations, and we tell people how it's supposed to be done and what we expect. And in turn, the high quality, high tone people like that, structure, and you tend to keep them.
Okay. All right. So when you're doing an interview with a new hire, and you're explaining the performance automotive way, and that way resonates with the right individual, is that you just explaining that to them, Brandan, or Kelsey? Are you who does the first interview? Who does the second interview? Is that how it works with you guys?
We joint interview. We both have our things we do and ask, and we've winged it so many times that we're good at We just do it the same way. She asks the HR questions. She asks she calls it housekeeping questions. I tend to go out and about on my question asking. But I ask them, what they think their role is going to be as a technician or a service advisor, and let them explain that to you. And then you say, okay, well, that some of that is how we do things, but we will let you know what your expectations are, or what our expectations are of you as well. And they're like, oh my gosh, I really haven't had that in all these years or whatever. And there's just certain people that aren't qualified. So you have to ask all those qualifying questions. How long have you done this? Do you know any of your KPIs, your key performance indicators that indicate how well you're doing at the job you're doing now? Most of them have no idea what that means. They couldn't tell you what their ARO is. They can't tell you how many cars they or customers they talk to, how many phone calls they took, and they can't answer that kind of stuff if they're a service advisor. Most technicians can't spit out what their average build hours is or has been.
Okay.
And if they do, they almost always guess high.
Okay. All right. So if I was to interview your employees, that would be different.
Yes.
I would like to think so.
Have you ever, now, forgive me, I'm about to push back a little bit on this. Have you ever done a test? Have you ever just taken a random time? I kind of want to test this theory, right? I kind of want to say, like, let's go pick one of the employees and ask them some of the KPIs that apply to them, and see how they do. It's actually a grading system, not for them, but for you.
Well, it's for them too. If they don't know where they stand, they don't have any way to change anything. So they all know exactly where they stand, because every Tuesday or Wednesday, we have a staff meeting, and we go over. It's very well formatted staff meeting, thanks to Kelsey, and we go through KPIs. We give them the state of where we're at, the state of where they're at, what needs to get better, what's fine.
But that's as a team. Do they know? Do you break it down right down to the individual for each one of them?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We show the graphs,
and she hands them a handout. That's just a couple pieces of paper with their graphs on it, their KPI graphs, and so these are yours. Hang them over your toolbox.
and then we present the graphs to everyone at the staff meeting. So our technicians know what our service advisors' ARO and gross profit and total sales are, and our service advisors know what each technician's billed hours were.
Okay.
And sometimes I think they think that maybe TMI, too much information for them, because they can't use all of that. But at least they know.
Does it ever get to the point where, I'm going to make up names, that Harry is envious or frustrated compared to his numbers compared to Pete's? Like,
everybody that works here is very, how would you put it? Everybody here is self-aware of where they're at anyways. They know where they're at as a, skilled technician, and what their weaknesses and strengths are anyways. They are hard on themselves more than we are hard on them sometimes. If they've had 3 weeks straight where everything's stacked against them and they haven't billed a bunch of hours, they know that, and they can feel it. And sometimes they'll come talk to us and say, what can we do? Doesn't happen often.
And we're looking at those trends as well. If we start noticing that a technician's hours are consistently down, we'll pull them in. Hey, how's everything going? Are you okay? Is there stuff going on at home? Let's talk about your hours. Why do you think you're not billing what you were 3 months ago? But opposite too, if they're doing well, we'll point it out in a staff meeting and say, hey, look at so-and-so's hours, and they have really come up over the last period of time, and have discussion about that. We're very transparent.
Okay. And a lot of times if their hours are fading, is it home life stuff, or is it, we're not robots.
It can be. Yeah, it can be. They could be just tired. They might need a vacation.
Health issues.
Hard. They might even have an issue with the service advisor, or they feel like they're getting, everybody else is getting all the good jobs and they're getting all the garbage. That happens. I've felt that in my career too.
Okay.
I've also know that when I was working at the Chevrolet dealer that I talked to you about earlier, and I was billing a whole bunch of hours, I know for a fact the service advisor knew that I was going to get that stuff done and make them money, and they gave me better jobs than they gave other people.
Right.
Simple.
Sure.
Because they knew I was going to knock them out. I was going to be done with them.
Right. Right. That makes sense. All right.
And that's not a way to do it. It worked for me at that point because I had some really big paychecks, but I know that it was counterproductive for the other technicians that were getting
for the
crappy jobs and for the shop as a whole.
All right. So when you mentioned the chaos at the one shop that you worked at, 12 years ago, roughly. So what guardrails have you put into play? When did you start putting guardrails? You did not want that same chaos for your shop. And of course, it probably felt like chaos when it was just you running around like a chicken with its head cut off. But like when did you start actually adding those guardrails for yourself?
So I'll also qualify this as every shop I had worked on previously had some form of chaos.
Okay.
And when I started getting a business consultant, that I talk to every week, is when I put the guardrails up to cause the less chaos in our shop.
Okay.
Because they told me, it was just training. I don't know the percentage, somebody else probably does. A big percentage of the people that open up an automotive repair shop were a technician.
Yeah, there's definitely a bunch.
And we know how to technician. We know how to fix cars. We don't know anything else. We don't know how to run a business. Unless you've been trained on that, you don't know how to run a business. And it's important to know how to run a business to run a business. That's just simple math there. And when my friend that interviewed me, that told me to go build transmissions at my house, when he says, "Hey, you need to go to this thing with me," and I could never make it happen. He didn't give me enough time usually, and then he finally did give me enough time, and we went to a conference and did a 2-day, basic seminar. I hadn't signed up yet, and the information we learned in those 2 days was invaluable. So then we met with one of their salesmen. And he literally wrote down some numbers on a napkin, I think, didn't he, Kels? Or a piece of paper he pulled out of a printer or something.
And when Brandan says we both went. I wasn't even in the business.
She didn't work here yet.
I was still at the bank, and I went with him because I needed to know what this company was about and to be able to help him and assist in any way that I could, because he was doing so much on his own, just being here by himself.
Mm-hmm. And where in that line? So was it a year in that you did this conference? 6 months in? Year and a half in?
It was about a year and a half. Yeah, I think year and a half, 2 years. I don't remember the specific days.
That's fine.
But I winged it. I absolutely 100% from the hip winged it. I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah. So for the first 18 months, you were also in chaos, just like all the other shops. You were just duplicating what you had seen.
And the only difference in that is I was pretty much the only person here for that 18 months. Right. So it didn't really matter.
Right.
Because, it was all in my head. It wasn't, okay. I didn't have
hold on. Kelsey, did it matter?
Oh, yeah.
I would think that.
Well, I mean, all I'm saying.
Strike that from the record. Brandon, it mattered. Kelsey felt it.
And I'm sure there was a lot of chaos at times, but it was all managed in my own head. I didn't have to verbalize any of it to anybody else or tell anybody else what to do. And then I did start getting, employees, and they weren't necessarily the right ones at that time. One of them still works with us, by the way.
Nice. I love that.
And he left for a couple of years and came back because he went to a place that had a bunch of chaos, and he's like, I don't like this, and came back. Okay. Which, he's awesome. But we've had 2 people leave and come back, and they're both awesome.
That's great.
I don't remember where I was going with this.
Well, I'm going to go there. I'm going to help your Facebook recruiting. Why don't you do a short video with them, just a one-on-one, like don't make it formal. Just have them talk about how it was working at your shop, how it was working at the other place, how it is working at your shop.
It's a good idea. I've thought about doing some of those recruiting videos. I just haven't thought about it quite like you said it, and I like your way better.
Yeah.
That way you can.
Yeah, it's not a long 20-minute thing. You're looking at like a minute to 2 minutes of content, maybe 3, right? Like 30 seconds. It was good. I liked it, but I was kind of curious. What was on the other side? What was on the other side? I'm not sure. My head was still spinning. I came back. My head's not spinning. It's done.
Yeah.
That's it, right? That's the whole video.
Yeah.
And let them use their own words, but keep it short. Short wins, especially on social.
Yeah.
So
sure, you lose your attention span.
We've talked about that.
If a video,
right?
If a video's too long, I'm like, swipe.
Yeah, right. Exactly. All right. So you weren't in the business yet. You were at this business coaching seminar type group. And who was the first two of you that said, this is what we're doing?
Oh, definitely Brandan.
Okay.
It was expensive, and Kelsey is very conservative financially.
A banker?
But I did the
Shocking.
I did the math in my head, which is always dangerous. But I did the math, and I'm like, okay, what's this cost? Because they give you the big number, and then they tell you how much a week, and then I'm like, I did the math on how many build hours does that mean, and it was nothing. It was not a lot of build hours. I'm like, I can do that in half a day or or a day, and it's not all profit, obviously, just so you can pay for that kind of stuff. But you give you an idea of where you're at and how much it's going to cost, and something a technician, me being a technician, could understand. And so I said, let's do it. I want to do it. And I think it was like 17,500 for a year, 17,500 for the year. It included weekly business consulting, and all the information they could give you. Plus, you got to go to their it used to be twice a year expo for free, included, not for free, and it was a good time. And I think what really helped as well is when you would go to their classes, their training that they had, it was a airplane ride, and we would go together. Even though Kelsey worked at a different place, we would go together still, and we would learn, and we would go to nice dinners and get away from the shop so that it energized you to go back and change things.
So it was like date weekend plus.
Yeah.
Okay. When did you come on board, Kelsey?
It was about a year after we joined the consulting company. I celebrated my 20th anniversary at the bank that I worked at. So it was November of 2017. And about 6 months before that, I had called him up, and I had not been super happy in the job that I was doing. And I just called him up and I said, I'm giving my 6-month notice. I'm coming to work with you. I didn't even give him a choice. And it's worked out very well. So
you gave Brandan your 6-month notice that you were working for him, or you gave the bank the 6-month notice that you were quitting?
Both.
Well,
okay.
And we had
you
no
got 6
idea.
months figured out.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't know what I was going to do.
Okay.
I know nothing about, or knew nothing about automotive repair, knew nothing about really running a business. I knew customer service and cash. And so we figured it out. I mean, once I got there, found my strong suits, and they're different than Brandan's strong suits. And so we kind of divvied up the responsibilities of what I do and what he does. And so that was...
She does more than I do by a lot.
That was November.
I want to jump in. I kind of like the contrast too. I quit this morning. I'm quitting in 6 months. That's fun. That's a fun pairing.
Well, I told you that I wing things.
I'm a planner.
He's not. I am confident.
Okay.
In my decisions, and I will work my ass off to figure out how to make it work after I've winged a decision.
That's awesome.
And
I see.
And so that's how I've always rolled. And I don't know if there's some other parts of this in there that could be diagnosed by a professional, like ADD or some other things, but I think that's why I was a decent, if not top tier technician at times was because I could wing things. I had a lot of confidence. I wasn't scared to go dive into something. I'd rip a wiring harness apart without having any approval, just so I could prove that I could fix it. Things like that. And it worked for me, and it worked for a long time. But I definitely needed the point, business classes to figure some stuff out.
No, I do. I like the contrast. I like the opposites part of it. I think it's also relatable for me because before I got married, I used to plan what side of the bed I was going to get out of next Thursday, and I would have a reason for it, right? I'm overstating a little bit. I'm overstating a little bit, but not much. But then I got married to someone who like doesn't plan anything. It's interesting. I mean, I used to actually, I still drive a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and I used to like the Jeep Grand Cherokees because I would store all sorts of stuff in the back, and I would keep stored all sorts of stuff. Like I'd have a chainsaw, I'd have camping gear, I'd have my soccer gear, I'd have my golf clubs. At any given time, I could just decide to go and do anything. And I never did that. I actually always planned those things out in advance, right? But I would joke about how on Friday nights from 8:30 to 9:30, I'm going to be spontaneous. I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's going to be epic. It never happened. I never was that spontaneous. But yeah. And then COVID happened. I remember this, like sitting, having breakfast during COVID, thinking, I'm a planner. And then I got married and I couldn't plan the same way. And now this has happened. And I don't even know what's going to happen. Like my son's supposed to start school this year, but he can't, sort of, right? Like it was really, it was an interesting time for those planners. And what did it feel like for you in 2020? You're, halfway through your 11-year journey. Kelsey, you're in the business now. And like, did COVID impact you at all?
About a month and a half.
Business wise, it like the phone stopped ringing.
Okay.
People didn't, because it was just like all of a sudden, okay, we're gonna 2 weeks of, shelter in place, or I don't remember how they put
slow
it.
the spread.
But what's that?
They called it the 2 weeks to slow the spread.
Slow the spread. That's exactly right. And so we were like, oh crap, what are we gonna do? We're still open because we were essential, right? And people still need to go somewhere maybe or do something. So
well, not legally, but sure.
We changed our whole, how are we going to get cars in the building? So people will still call and say, well, I don't want to come there. Okay, no problem. Leave the keys in and I'll come get it. And then we had the whole wipe down and ozone machines. Every time we service a car, we ran an ozone machine inside the car for 30 minutes. So we punted, which is what I'm good at, is figuring stuff out and winging it. But between the two of us, we winged it to get going and get more cars in the building. And a month and a half, maybe not even that long, a month, and it shot right back up again. We were doing fine.
Okay. All right, Kelsey, what was your experience?
We just really did everything that we could to help people. That's our whole premise behind having a business. We're helping customers, we're helping our employees, we're helping the community. So it was whatever we could do. It didn't matter if he and I had to drive 45 miles over a mountain pass or half a mountain pass to get to somebody's car to bring it to our shop. That's what we did. We made it happen for whoever it was, whatever their situation was. We bought a new trailer.
And your customers are coming from that distance?
Our county is very large. There's only 55,000 residents in the county, but from edge to edge, you've got 45, 50, 60 miles, wouldn't you say?
Okay. Maybe even longer. I'm going to actually have to go look at a map and figure that out. So, because we talked about this.
Yeah.
And then from south to north, it's even longer.
Okay.
So, and it's in remote, Southwest Colorado. So sometimes it takes longer than the mileage looks at, and not because there's a lot of traffic, but because the roads are slow. But we actually Kelsey was getting ready to say this, we bought a trailer to go tow stuff that was broke down because we were towing stuff for free. So we didn't have to call a tow truck, didn't have to worry about all that stuff. And get cars here. That was our main objective, was just to get cars here, get people on the phones. We made it work.
But that was a turning point for us. Here we are 6 years later. We are still picking up and delivering vehicles, picking up and delivering customers. We now don't tow anything. We'll use a tow truck. We have a contract with the tow truck driver who he goes and gets all of our tows. But that really, there's not very many other shops that will do those kinds of things that we do. We will pick up a vehicle anywhere in our county. We will deliver it anywhere in our county. And people it blows their mind that we will do that for them. We have people, we're a bedroom community for the biggest city, the county seat in La Plata County. And so you have to drive 15, 20 miles to get to the next biggest town. And you have to have your vehicle. So we have people who live here and work there, and we will take them to work. And then we'll pick them up at the end of the day and bring them back when their car's done.
Or we'll just they can pay over the phone. We drop their car off and here's your keys. Here's your invoice. Thank you. And move on.
Yeah.
And we have a full-time porter. She picks up customers, parts, cars, takes people somewhere. I'll go with her. I went with her on Thursday to go drop a car off in town, and she rode back with me. We do what we can.
We do what it takes.
Now this idea was birthed off of the COVID push, right?
Yeah.
And but you didn't have a porter back then. It was just the two of you going out and being the porters.
Yeah.
So if a shop is trying to figure out whether or not, or if a shop's trying to figure out how much they have to grow to be able to afford a porter, or to make a porter work as part of their marketing or concierge efforts, like what are some of how did you determine when you had to hire that person?
I think we didn't. We probably should have done more math. But she's not just,
says the person who won it.
Yeah, I wing a lot.
Anyway,
but there's certain percentages that you can spend of your gross on all of your expenditures, whether it's your labor, your what the owner takes home, how much you should spend on parts, how much the front should make, your service advisors, and in the front your porter would be in there as well. How much overhead you're going to have, and if you want to increase something, you either have to increase your gross so you make more money, or decrease one of the other areas somehow to afford that. But my biggest recommendation to other shop owners that don't have a coach or a consulting company that can help coach them, that can help them figure that stuff out, is to get one. Because that's the only way you can figure out. Yeah, if you think you need somebody and you don't know if you can afford to pay them, obviously there's things on the internet you can go read and find, but a coach will be he'll help you do the math.
Okay. I'm sorry, my mind just went to whether or not I work with a bunch of coaches. This is going to upset them. But they can ask the same question about marketing, whether or not the AI assistants that are out there would be able to help with coaching some of those things, or whether there's a personal dynamic and relationship between you and your coach that are actually going to be doing a better job fine-tuning those answers specifically for you. I mean, is there a single way? That's really what we're asking. Is there a single formula to decide whether or not to hire a porter, right? If there is a singular way, then maybe an AI prompt would actually give a shop an answer without hiring that coach. But if that changes because your coach knows you and your specific operations and then adjusts the answers a little bit based on those things, then the AI prompt isn't going to be able to give the answers. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. 100% makes sense to me, because I'm sure that you could type into any AI platform, I own an automotive repair shop. I think I need a new porter. When do you think I can afford one?
Yeah.
And then it'll say, what, how much do you, what's your growth? The AI will ask you questions back in a way.
If you ask it to, sure.
Yeah. Or you could go to a coach that can actually look, he's going to ask you all of the right questions. AI is free. Somebody might run it through AI and see what they come up with. It'll probably pull a whole bunch of crap off the internet and mix it all together, and you might be enough to know if you can afford somebody.
You have to be careful when you're doing AI prompts, because you really, especially I've noticed a trend where they've recently started to, or maybe not recently, maybe I've just recently noticed, answer what they think you want to hear. And so,
It's a
and so
people
it's,
pleaser.
that's scary to call it
Yeah.
that, but okay. But I find that to be really, I found that to be really interesting. And you really need to make sure that you're asking it in an open-ended question, and that you're giving it all the possible variables. And I'll give you an example. And this is not a good example. This is potentially a bad example that was almost done correctly. All right. So last year I broke 3 bones in my one leg, and I resisted going to PT 3 times a week. That just seemed like a lot. So anyway, I started out, and so my wife would be like, "Oh, you're talking to your AI girlfriend again, huh?" But anyway, because I would spend a lot of time asking, and it wasn't a girlfriend, it was Grok. So I don't think Grok is male or female, but it sounds more male. So anyway, Grok on X. And I would actually go through, I uploaded my x-rays. I uploaded videos of my mobility. I uploaded pictures of the current status of my leg. I described where the pains were, the types of pains. I gave it as much input as possible. And then I asked for what PT exercises to do. And so I started my PT there. And then eventually I went to an actual physical therapist, and I had the physical therapist. She looked over the full list, and she was like, good, not necessary. I'm going to add these 2 other items. So it was a good start, but it would have been an awful start if I would have just said, hey, I broke my leg. What did I do? Because my particular break, my particular torn ligaments and tendons were different from the next broken leg. Right. And so you really do need to have, and I think that carries over not just for the AI prompts, but the coach is going to do an easier job of getting to know your specific operations if you let that coach into your operations and then answer and help you kind of fine tune those things. But that's, I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent. Let's get back to back to your development. So you had, let's see here. So you're post-COVID. How many employees did you have during COVID?
I think we had
1.
5, not including us.
Okay.
We did lay one off during COVID because
Okay.
it felt very scary for a short period of time.
He was hourly as well. He, C- tech at the time. He did a lot of, maintenance tech, we'll call it. He did a
Yeah.
lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we didn't know what was going to go on, and we were scared.
Mhm.
We didn't probably have enough reserves at that time as well to back up on. And so anyway, we did let somebody go, lay off type of thing, and he found a job immediately.
Good.
Which was fine, and that was great. And forgot the rest of the question.
And that was so we had the 4 or 5, and that was a fine number to have. We now are up to 11 employees, not including
the
the
2
2
of
of
you.
us.
Not included. So 13 total people there.
Yes.
Yep.
And do you think the concierge aspect of things that you added on in the last 6 years have actually helped with or foster those additional accounts or customers that you've gotten?
Absolutely.
Like, okay.
Yep.
All right. So just doing things the old way is not the correct way in this regard, right?
Mhm.
It allowed you to actually continue to grow.
Now, Brandan used to
And I'll add on to that.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'll add on to that in saying that there is no old, middle, or new way. There's always the new way, because if you're doing it right, you should be looking at your numbers weekly and tweaking through. And there's formulas you can use as well to help you. If it's good, then you don't change anything, or if it's great, you don't change anything. If it's good, you're like, okay, I might, I have this area that needs a little work. I'll tweak this a little bit. So there's never an old way or a new way. It's always the new way. If that makes any sense. And I can elaborate.
I know it makes sense to me because, I mean, back to AA Shop Marketing being that digital marketing company, right? The first thing that we do is we're digital marketing managers. We don't just create websites. We don't just create social media, we're digital marketing managers. And as managers, just like you just said, we're looking at the numbers We're looking at the metrics. We're looking at our KPIs. We're looking at what's going on with your competitors. And we're saying, okay, here's what's changed in the last, say, month. What do we need to change to respond to that? And so, whereas, we're not just building this and then letting it sit. We're not just setting this profile up and letting it sit. We're constantly adjusting it based on, what's next. And what's next, a lot of times, we've already talked about AI. This is a topic that we're going to be talking about all year long, because there are some forecasting that's going to be 25% of all searches are going to be AI prompts instead of just Google searches looking for auto repair near me, or in your case where everyone is spread out, looking for auto repair in, my town or your town and those types of things.
Or auto repair with the best reviews, or however they style that search. And I'm probably as guilty about this as anything. When I type something in Google to a person's name, a sports figure, whatever I'm looking at, I a lot of times will read the AI overview, that it's through Google, and it's usually pretty accurate. And I've seen over the last 6 months, it seems like it's getting more and more accurate. So, and a lot of people type in symptoms and of their car in there too, and decide that's why and I'm afraid we're going to start getting calls that are, hey, I asked AI what's wrong with my car and it said this, how much does it cost to replace these two things or whatever. I hope that doesn't happen.
We have an AI asked AI first surcharge of 25%.
Unless you just don't trust them and you want to just let us do it. Tell us you tried AI and then you don't believe it. So
yeah.
But I have, going a little deeper into AI, I have a really good friend that owns an electric company and he'll probably beat me up if he watches this, about, I probably got some of the details wrong, but he paid a company a lot of money to start an AI agent for him. And the agent it's well defined, and it took 3 months to build the agent, and he is using it to its fullest extent. He's using it to help him run his business, and it is I wouldn't be scared of AI ever, until it turns into Skynet, or they start calling it Skynet, and then but use it for what it's worth, but it has to be well defined.
Yeah, the more inputs, the better the outputs. I mean, that's really going to be the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I'm using it to write SOPs right now, standard operating procedures and things. But I found that the more detail you can add to it, the more it works. And you have to pay by the month, so it remembers a lot of things. It basically remembers everything I've told it in the past. And so it can come up. You don't have to be so detailed in what you want it to do, because it already knows who you are and what your business name is and a lot of things that you've had it do in the past.
And some of those are on the free modules, but a lot of times those are on the paid modules, and they do and different AI prompts that are out there, different programs that are out there. Like, I don't know. I don't have the Facebook Messenger app on my phone because I read the terms and conditions before downloading the app, and I said, no way. And so where I'm going with that is, know the terms and conditions before you select your AI prompt. Like, what are they using that data for? Is because if you're using a free version of AI and you're asking it personal business questions, that is publicly, like, that AI agent might actually be using that for other people's searches, because it's not a paid account. So I just know you should look into that before just jumping in and using the technology. But isn't that the case always? We always have these fun gadgets and we don't really pay attention to the other side of things. And firsthand about that, because the connection between the people and their cars is more and more the cabin, and that's it, right? You go back 30 years ago, there was more people that could change their oil than there are today. And I think the manufacturers have something to do with that. They make it harder and harder to find, to put which
and find the information as well.
Talk to me about that.
You finding the information.
Mm-hmm.
if you're just an average Joe and you don't subscribe to a lot, service manuals and things, you can go down to, AutoZone and buy a Chilton manual on your car, but you also have to be a little bit, you have to be mechanically savvy to get through that. But you can't just, you can Google it, and all this stuff, but you might not be as confident as if you have been through it and have all the service manuals right in front of you on your computer screen. From the OEMs or adaption, we use a couple of different ones, an adaption of an OEM manual. I think Mitchell or Shopkey did the same thing. They rewrite everything for the most part, especially wiring diagrams. But they're taking OEM adaptions or OEM manuals and adapting them to fit their whatever, their profile or whatever you call it. I don't know what to say.
Okay.
Yeah, their program.
Now, just recently, we had an episode, I guess it was actually November of 2025. We had an episode, a panel talking about documenting the processes. And you made a comment about how using AI to write the shop manual. I don't know. I'm thinking about how you're going to be publishing that and how you're going to how often you're going to revisit it. Is it a project for you right now, or is this something that you've been working on and adapting every single month?
So if we have a problem with, I guess that's a big question. If I'm going to really break it down, I am working. So we're working with a new coach, and he is pushing us to do some things we've never done. We didn't have job descriptions for Kelsey and I at all. So he's like, you guys need to write your own job descriptions. And so we did that. And then I'm moving forward to writing more things. We're getting ready to change our website. So I want to have a different mission statement. I'm going to do some stuff in the office and put the technician code of ethics in there. And I had AI help me write that, because it would take me a week and a half to write one policy or one SOP or whatever you want to call it. It would take me a week and a half to do it. And then I would have to hand it over to Kelsey and say, read this and fix everything. And then she would fix all my grammatical stuff. She would make things sound better, but I can build one if people leave me alone. And there's no keyboard clicking in the background. That's from Kelsey. That's a joke. And so I stay focused on something. I can write one in an hour. So the time savings is incredible. And then on the next side of that, you say, when do you adapt them? Well, you go over them when you have somebody that doesn't follow it to a T.
When it seems to break.
Yeah. When there's a break in communication, or somebody's not following the workflow policy, or somebody's not following the test drive policy, or somebody's on their cell phone all the time in the shop or, at the front sales counter, then we have to go over that. And we go over that in a group during staff meeting times.
Kelsey, you want to add something to that?
No, he's doing great.
All right, I'm sorry. A moment ago, it looked like you had a thought. And so that's why.
No, he's doing perfect.
Okay. She had a thought because got it. So
she had a thought because we work 6 feet from each other, and she has a very loud keyboard. That's why she looked.
Yeah, no, I caught that part.
I dug her in a podcast, and I shouldn't have, but it's funny anyway. So we go over those policies and change, or if we have a new, we're doing things a little differently, we'll change a policy and then go over it in staff meeting. And then it's, she puts on the bottom of the policies when it was revised.
Okay. Got it. Now, is this like a Google Doc or a Word document?
It's a Word doc.
PDF.
So it's Word documents, and they're all paper.
All so right now, everything is paper. I print out multiple copies. They get one for their folder. They sign one for me that goes in their HR folder. We are looking for an online adoption, a way to be able to disseminate this information to everybody electronically so that they'll still have it and it's not paper.
Yes, I like.
And we're looking into several different ones. One of them we looked into just the other day was through our HR company that we already pay for, or not HR company, our payroll company, and they have these but it's very, very minimal type of deal. But we're looking to another couple of them. I think Kelsey actually has a demo scheduled for this week. Yeah.
So there's a company called Way We Do.
Way We Do?
waywedo.com. I've never used them. I know very little about them. I know that they've been mentioned a couple times on this podcast. Most recently, I think they were mentioned on episode 54 when we were talking about documenting our processes. Another idea that was brought up was the idea of just having your own private YouTube channel. Because you don't have to publish it to everybody when you publish on your YouTube channel. You can,
Sure.
but
Get permissions.
But the reality is, the idea that someone's going to read an 85-page Word document is, well, okay. Is it zero? Is it 1%? I don't think it's that high, right? I mean,
I've had employees that would read all 85 pages.
Okay.
And sign off on them. And then if they had a problem, they had their notebook that she kept it in.
Okay.
Like 100% organized so she could go find it, go to the right page and read what it was about.
Wow.
But one person did that. 0% of the other ones would read all 85 pages if you left it up to them.
Out of that one person, I'm just curious. This is another question that could be difficult. Did that person ever come to you and be like, you're in violation, page 17, section 4? Did they ever come back to you and say, you're not doing the process that you gave me?
Not us, but that other people weren't doing the process that we gave them. Yes.
Okay. She would bus roll. Yeah, she would bus roll somebody else. Not maliciously. She just knew that this is how we had stuff lined out, and she knew that's how it needed to be, and she just wanted to be in compliance.
Okay.
And because she felt that was no.
Okay. All right. I was just making
sure. She worked for us for 7 years. Yeah.
Okay.
7 years she worked for us. She was my first service advisor I hired.
Left on good terms?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. It sounds like a good taskmaster is the wrong way to say it, but like, it's not bad to have somebody who can help keep everybody on rails, right? So, all right, good. All right. So, I like where you acknowledge that, yeah, online might be a good fit. Of course, what was it, a few weeks ago when Verizon and I think AT&T also had a problem around the same time where they were just down for like a few hours. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Was that out west?
I didn't notice it, but I heard about it.
Yeah. It didn't impact me much of any. I think I was slow at browsing some things. No big deal. But I mean, I heard a lot of people had some serious issues with, I'm sorry, but the issues that I heard the biggest were they lost access to GPS and they couldn't get home, which cracks me up.
Couldn't get home?
I mean, there are people who are 100% reliant on GPS. They get in the car, they plug it in, and then they are mindlessly going to the next destination with no, they're not taking in memory of where they just were, right?
That's crazy.
Right?
Hopefully they're losing that memory to remember other things, though, and it's not just empty memory.
I don't know what I have a Faraday bag. I sometimes put my phone in it so Google doesn't know where I'm going. So anyway, so
never thought about that.
So anyway, so I think that's great. Check them out. I don't really know anything about them. I don't know how good they are. I just know of them. And like I said, episode 54, we chatted about that, and a couple other episodes as well. And I think that's going to be changing drastically. I think it's going to be an interesting time for us to actually see how that plays into AI. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting year for all of us. So what are you seeing for yourselves in 2026? You just brought on some new people. Are you planning a heavy growth year, a typical growth year?
Heavy growth.
We were fortunate in the first 10 years to grow every year except for this 2025. 2025 had some employee struggles, marketing maybe struggles,
some personal struggles.
We pushed some personal struggles in the summer, which was with immediate family. But we pushed through all that, and we were like $40,000 short of our year before. We've always grown 10, 15% before that a year. We're looking for a marked improvement over this year. With the help of our coach, we're trying to write goals right now and figure out how we're going to, you got to work it backwards. You pick the goal, then you, how many cars do I need? What's my ARO have to be? Work your way down so that you know how much you have to do a day if you want to.
Right.
How many cars you need?
Okay, but how many cars do you need? How are you going to get those cars? Like that's just part of it, right? I mean, I'm glad you're getting a new website, but the new website's not going to necessarily hand you those new cars. But that's obviously also a part of it. And we're going to be having a topic real soon, specifically about how to set a marketing budget. And so depending on when you're listening to this episode versus that panel, it's going to come out roughly around the same time, I believe. But so why don't you actually talk a little bit about how have you actually gone through your marketing budget yet, or is that a near step that you're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks with your coach?
That is going to be a step we're going to go through with our coach in the next couple of weeks.
That's great. All right. Well, then you're going to want to listen to the panel that we're about to record, and I'd be really curious to hear from you offline at a later time about whether or not any of that information helped, because I'm looking to try to help as many shops as possible. That's the whole premise of this Garage Grit podcast, which is why if you're just looking for your next marketing step, you can go get your own jumpstart on your marketing here in the early part of the new year by going to addy.me/jumpstart. And then what we do when we get that form completed, we actually research your specific area, your specific shop, and then tell you your next marketing step. That's not going to get you all of those customers, those new cars that Brandan and Kelsey were just talking about, but it gets you at least momentum in the right direction, right? And that's addi.me/jumpstart. But if you're looking for more than just the next step, we also have our full playbook. And we talked a little bit about how on this podcast, on this conversation, we talked a little bit about how you don't really just want to have the exact same steps for everyone. You want to have like a framework and then adjust specifically for you. We talked about that with the coaches, right? There's not necessarily a single answer necessarily. You've got to look at your competitors. You got to look at what they're doing. You got to look at what you're doing. You got to look at what your goals are. And so we actually have this framework for our marketing process. It starts with digital marketing management, where we're studying all those different aspects and then coming up with the correct formula for you. But it's inside of a framework. And if you want that framework, that's actually available to everybody. addi.me/2026. That's addi.me/2026. And for those who don't know, AA actually stands for Addison Auto Shop Marketing, which is why addi.me is our little shortener for our website for those shortcut links. Addy was the nickname of my grandfather. And so that's kind of like the evolution, I guess, that we've got to now. So anyway, that was long played. We've been at this chatting for over an hour, and I feel like we could probably chat for another 2 hours, but I'm guessing you need to get back to work. I'm guessing that you need to go back and do some productive things, write some more job descriptions and those types of things. And so I'm going to let you guys get off to the next meeting, get over to the next meeting, or get over to the next management of the your next set of customers. But I do have some more thoughts that I'm looking forward to future conversations with you, and I'm hoping to have you back maybe on a panel coming up in every February or March. Are there any questions that you have for me? This is your first podcast experience. Have you guys been on a podcast before?
I've done some Facebook Live stuff with one of the coaching companies we had before.
Okay.
And it was kind of fun.
All right. How did we do today?
I've enjoyed this. What's that?
How did we do today? Was this fun?
Yeah.
It was a blast. I felt like I talked too much, but I had a great time.
You know what? The AI can analyze how much you talked versus me versus Kelsey. And I'm guessing Kelsey didn't talk enough.
Brandon is what we call affectionately a KTW. He is a known time waster.
Okay.
He can talk. Right. He's got great stories. He's lived 2.5 lives in his short 49 years, let me tell you.
Okay. All right. So that's the gift of gab. Isn't that what that's called?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a gift.
Or bullshit. One of the two.
I prefer gift. All right. I'm a big, I'm the other one that I like to use is I'm not a control freak as a planner. I'm a control enthusiast.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah,
It sounds good.
It's much more positive than freak. So
rolls right off the tongue too.
It does, doesn't it? So,
Yeah.
So, as much as you can, go be a control enthusiast for your shop, for your business, for your to actually grow in 2026. Let's make 2026 ridiculous. What do you say?
That's our plan.
Ridiculous.
Yep.
I'm ready.
Thank you so much.